Good evening. Sorry to keep everybody waiting. I know that I left you hanging for a few days. I'm in North Carolina now, still cleaning up the aftermath and the mess that this past 18 months has made of my life. But we're doing it and picking up the pieces, and this is all part of it. So I know I went through a fill-in chapter to kind of fill you guys in on the things that were going on during this time, that there's some details that I felt you needed to know that I didn't spend a lot of time on in the other chapters. So I'm glad I did that for you so that you kind of get the whole picture of what's going on and the magnitude of the people being dragged into this thing. Um, so where I left off before that was that I was getting this great apartment, um, that the contract was with the attorney, and I was excited, and good things were going to happen. So things were changing. The house was going to get funded. There was a deposit made in the bank. Everything that made me feel all nice and warm and fuzzy. So that brings us to chapter 6. Nobody puts baby in the corner. Okay, so I get back. I'm in New York City. I get the sign the contract for the apartment. I have the letters of reference all ready because I need letters of reference for the board of the apartment building. Um, Mr. X has his letters of reference because he's the financer. He's the purchaser, so he needs letters of reference. All of that stuff is together, all at the attorney's. I had colleagues of mine write these letters of reference and send them over because I needed them right away. And this real estate agent that he was trying to recruit has this contract, and um, I imagine she's very excited because she's selling a $2 million+ property cash. It's closing in 30 days. On top of that, Mr. X is purchasing other apartments in Manhattan through her. So she's got, I think, 2 or 3 other contracts that he's purchasing as business investments at the same time. So if I was her, and I can imagine what if you were her and you were selling multiple $1 million apartments in Manhattan as a real estate agent that works off of commission, in my head, I would have been spending that commission a million times. Um, so it's just another person who, was feeling like she was on top of the world. She was selling all these apartments and had all these contracts, and she had done business with Mr. X before, which is how he knew of her, which is why he was trying to recruit her. Um, so, another person that I feel bad for in the end of all this, who none of this was real. She didn't really lose anything because she didn't have it, but she lost a lot of time, and I'm sure there was a great disappointment there as well. So here we are, back in the office. I'm working on the website still because and it takes a little while to get the website fully functional, especially a very nice website integrated with all of the real estate multiple listings. And I mean, we really, my web designer is top notch, and he was really not holding anything back. I told him I wanted this to be an amazing website. This is, our splash, our reinvention to the growth of this company. So I'm working on the content. I have the realtors the agents send me headshots so that I could do bios. There's bios on the websites. There's links to other things. What we don't have for the website, which is pretty important, is listings. I have no listings. So here I am talking to Mr. X. Well, where are our listings? Because, what's going to drive people to our website? I mean, we need listings. No, we'll just pull from multiple listings for now. We'll just pull from here for now. We'll just pull from there for now. But we're a real estate agency. You're a broker. Where are the listings? Why are we still hiring agents? You have no listings. We're not out there even getting listings. We're out there buying things, but we're not making any money. Okay. So Rex says, don't worry about it. I'm telling you, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay. So here we are. I'm finishing a website that has no listings. It's got a bunch of agents and some bios and on about us, but we have no property to sell you. So, okay. Again, I don't know anything about the real estate market, so I'm just doing as I'm told. So, but it didn't really make sense to me. But okay, Mr. X is not on the phone. He's not talking to clients. Clients aren't calling in. The phones aren't ringing. The only time my phone rings is when Mr. X is calling me from the other office because his volume's not going on. He can't figure out how to open up an application. He needs some kind of PC help, or he wants to know if everybody's going to go to lunch today, or he wants to know if everybody came in on time. That was the only time my phone rang. I never answered the phone and had to actually be a customer or somebody looking for any kind of real estate. So I'm getting highly irritated at this point because I'm starting to realize that there is no job here. There is no reason for me to be here, but I'm getting paid. And Mr. X just made a big deposit in the bank. And from that deposit is the funding of my house. So I'm kind of in a catch-22. I kind of have to hold on and stick this thing out because it's my income right now and my house is being sold. But I really do at this point give in to that nagging feeling in my gut that says, this isn't real. This is not, you're doing work to keep yourself busy because you know as a professional what to do. But there's no work here. There's no work here. There's not one customer calling. Mr. X isn't in any kind of frantic panic trying to get customers. The agents are looking at you and looking at each other like, what are we doing here? He's paying agents to stay in the office so he can train them. He's paying them $500 a week now. Like I said, I don't know a lot about real estate, but I do know that real estate agents work on commission. I know because I've paid quite a bit of commission, when I sold my home and in New York. So I do know that they work on commission. So if you work on commission, why are you getting paid a base salary? It's definitely out of the ordinary. But that was the deal he made with them. So okay, he said he was going to train them. He has a certain way that he does things with his high-end clients, and so he wanted to take them under his wing and show him how he does things. So before he sends them out opens up his book to them, is how he put it. Okay, that's fine. Look, you're the boss. I don't care who you pay. But now you have a bunch of people sitting around the office going to lunch for 3.5 hours, staring at each other like, well, what are we supposed to be doing? Making, cold calls and looking through multiple listings, trying to get leads, trying to get listings. But really, there's not enough work there. There's not enough to do. Then there's my house is going to be funded by April 18th. Okay. The boys, the federal government boys, have approved a large chunk of monies to be released to Mr. X, and he can finally spend some of his fortune. Okay, now I've already seen a large deposit, but this is supposed to be like a tremendously large deposit coming through, where he's able to transfer about $10 million. Now this is, I know you're saying he's got $10 million, but he didn't fund your house yet. I get it. Believe me, I get it. But at the same time, he's got multiple contracts with this real estate agent for millions of dollars. He took his wife to one of these apartments because he said, now that we're coming into all this money, we're going to we're going to move, we're going to live the lifestyle. And I know he took his wife because the real estate agent told me the last time they went and looked at apartments, he was with his wife. So now either his wife is in on this elaborate plan, which wouldn't make any sense, or he has her believing that he's got all this money coming in and she's just believing the lies as well, or there's really money coming in. So it's again in my gut. At this point, that there is such an enormous amount of bullshit going on. But the question in your head is, what's real and what's not real? So you have to try and figure out this puzzle of there's got to be some truth to some of this. And there's got to be some elaboration to some of this. So what's real and what's not real? And why do all these people in his family seem to know about all of this and not blink an eye, not raise an eyebrow or a question? Now, we've met his wife. We've met his son. His assistant met the whole family, escorting or driving for him to go to a wake. Because he needed somebody to drive him and his wife and his son. She met his whole family. They all knew he had a personal assistant. They all knew he had a new office. They all knew I was the vice president of operations. They knew he was running this business. So if he didn't have money, where would they think he was getting this from? So some of this has to be real. Again, I know what you're thinking, but you have to put yourself on the other side of it and say, well, all of these people know about it. All of these people who, come from Floral Park, seem like honest people, retired, worked hard their whole lives, federal government employees. You're thinking, something's got to be, there's got to be truth amongst the lies. So you have to pick out what it is. And I can't afford to pick out the wrong thing because my house is supposed to get funded on April 18th. And I'm getting a paycheck every week. But I know that there's just something off. So I'm having conversations now with family and friends. And I remember one conversation with someone in my family. I won't name names. Okay, it's my dad. And I said, Dad, I have to look for another job. I have to. And he said, why? What, are you still getting paid? I said, yeah. Are you still in the apartment? I said, yeah, I'm calling you from the apartment right now. So what's the problem? There's no job. There's no work. This is not a real job. I literally sit around and try and keep myself busy while everybody goes to lunch for 3.5 hours. And I don't go to lunch because I'm uncomfortable going to lunch with Mr. X. Okay. My father's like, let me understand this. You want to quit your job where you're getting paid more money to find another job where you'll do more work and get paid less money because you have no work to do now. I get it. I hear what you're saying, Dad. But yeah, because the simple fact is I worked for my reputation. I worked for my skills. Everything that I know, I learned through experience, through opportunity. And so if you're a working person, then you understand that after working 20-something years to give yourself the skill set and the reputation that you have, taking a job so that somebody can come into your office and watch you work and pay you to do that. Although, I don't know, maybe to some people that sounds like an ideal job. It's not. It's not. It's getting paid to sit around and do nothing. And that the reason why you're feeling awkward about the reason why it was important for you to leave North Carolina and move here and sit around and do nothing. So yeah. So I know to even my dad I sounded crazy, but that's where the point I was at where I really needed to start looking for another job, and I did start calling around, and I called a dear friend of mine who was always like a mentor to me. And I spoke to him, and he said, well, look, obviously the guy's a nut. So, write it out for as long as you can. When you're ready, or the house gets funded, or when you decide you're ready, I have a job for you. I want to introduce you to somebody, and, it's a good job, and I'm not going to, we're not going to take the opportunity to, take you in It's an awesome, it's a good position. It's a perfect fit. So when you're ready, I will talk to him and talk to my partner, and I'll have him talk to you, and we'll figure out, when you're going to come over. So I felt a little bit better because I couldn't just up and leave because I had the house hanging in the balance. And Mr. X was acting weird because when I pointed out to Mr. X when I felt uncomfortable or I felt awkward, he would get upset. If he would ask, maybe this weekend, maybe I'll stop by the apartment because I'm paying for it and I haven't seen it yet. No, you won't. I live there. It's not just an open apartment, open door policy where because you put it in my contract and you decided to pay for it, that means you can come and go as you please. No, you won't. That's where I'm living. And then Mr. X would get very upset with me, and he would get an attitude. Fine, and he would get like a real bitch attitude with me. So I was walking the line. I said what I had to say when I had to say it. Other than that, I just smiled, nodded, and just went about my business. I knew what was going on, and I was trying to really walk a straight line, not to upset him because I really wanted my house to close or to be funded. It was already closed, to be funded so that I can get out of this miserable situation that I realize I am now in. So I start talking with the other girls in the office. We're talking about every day about 2 o'clock when Mr. X goes to the 7th floor bathroom, and we're all starting to talk and starting to wonder what we're doing here. They're looking at each other. We still can't. We're like, well, what? But if that's the case, then how is he doing X, Y, and Z? Or if that's the case, then how come so-and-so knows about it? Or he said that in front of so-and-so, and they didn't say anything. So it's all very but this is obviously a lie. But if it's a lie, then how come, we met his wife and his son and his father, and how come nobody's wondering why he's hiring all these people, how he's paying all these people, because he knows we're on their payroll. So there was always a but how? But I definitely knew the but why. So this is what was happening every day, and every day we're trying to figure out what's going on. There's literally no work going on. Mr. X starts to cause hostility in the office. Now we're all, for the most part, except for his executive partners, we're all women. And I know we get along great. We're actually getting along really great. We're all kind of knowing that there's something off about what's going on, but for the most part, we're getting paid. So we're trying to fill our time with work, our day with work. But I'm the office manager. I'm the vice president of operations. So there are mornings that Mr. X would call me and say, where are, Agent A and my assistant? I don't know. I guess they're on the train still because they didn't live in Manhattan like I did now. I guess they're on the train still. Well, are you going to call them or am I? Now, mind you, they stay with Mr. X at night to make sure he gets in his cab without a problem because, for 13 years, he was doing it without anybody, but now he needs somebody to stay with him and take a cab. But that was my view on it. So they stay with him, and sometimes they're not getting on a train with him until after putting him in the cab till about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. They're getting back to Long Island 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So if they're not in the office at 8:30 the next morning and they don't get there till 9:30, 10, you have to be able to have that kind of flexibility with somebody. So this particular, for example, this particular day, Mr. X called me and said, where are they? They're late. I'm in the office, and I wasn't even in the office yet, and it's 8:30. Okay. I'm sure they'll be there. It's early. Well, are you going to call them, or should I have to call them? He's obviously annoyed with me. I haven't given him enough attention. So he's annoyed with me because it's my job to manage the office. Okay. The office about nothing because there's no work going on. All right. So I pick up the phone and I call his assistant, and I know that his assistant and this one agent take the train together, so I know that they're coming in together. So I said, like, hey girls, where are you guys? Mr. X just called. He said he's in the office and that you guys aren't in there, and he's asking me where you guys are at. I said, well, we had to stay with him till about 9:30, 10 o'clock last night because he had to go up to the 7th floor right at 5 o'clock, and he was stuck in the 7th floor in the ADA accessible bathroom for about 2 hours and wouldn't let us leave because he wanted us to stay with him for when he got on in the cab. So we stayed with him. Okay, no problem. When you guys think you're going to get in? About 10 o'clock. Okay, no problem. So I call Mr. X back. And I said to Mr. X, my exact words, if you want office hours to be 9 to 5, then it works both ways. If you expect people to be in at 9 o'clock, then you have to let them out at 5. So if somebody is in at 9, but you're not letting them leave until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, then you have to have flexibility with them that next day. But so if office hours are 9 to 5, then you have to stick to that too. But you can't have somebody stay till 9:30, 10 o'clock because you don't want to take a cab by yourself. It's not like there's a deadline to be made and they're not making it because they're late or they had to stay late to make the deadline. They stayed late because you were in the bathroom and you asked them to stay with you. So they waited for you and made sure you got in a cab. So the fact that they're coming in at 10 o'clock today, I don't have a problem with. Okay, no problem. Thank you. So now I get in the office and the girls, I forgot why I wasn't in the office that day. If I had an appointment, or there were times where I faked appointments. To be honest with you, I just faked appointments because it was really hard to stay in the office and know that I was being called from the minute I got in the office to Mr. X's office for just anything. I need you to take notes. Notes about what? We have no clients. I need you to show me how to do this. I need you to work in my office today. Just things that were very uncomfortable. So it could have been one of the days that I faked an appointment. I'm not going to lie. It got harder and harder to get through a day. So for some reason, I was coming in later. So I came in about noon, and the girls that I had spoke to on the phone were there, and there was hostility. There was tension. Okay. Everything okay? Yeah, everything's fine. Okay. But as women, we could tell when somebody's, upset. There's tension in the air. So Mr. X, of course, calls me in his office. I don't remember what for. I was in there for, I'm sure, something ridiculous. And he says, oh, and by the way, the girls are upset with you. Why? I just got here. I spoke to them this morning. Everything was fine. I don't know. They just seem to upset with you. You don't know why, or nobody said anything to you. It's just you just have a feeling the girls are upset with me. Like, how is that possible? So the tension starts to build, and this goes on for a couple of days, for longer than that. And I mean, we're not at each other's throats. You can just tell that, there's obvious hostility. Our 2 o'clock meetings are not our 2 o'clock meetings anymore. The girls are going out for the 2 o'clock meetings while he's up on the 7th floor. They're going to have their pretzel. I'm not invited. I start to feel like, something's going on. They're talking to Mr. X on text messages where they weren't before. So there's something going on, and I'm not sure what it is, but I know I'm the odd man out at this point. I know something is off. So I told you Mr. X's assistant is a friend of mine. So we talk about it, and I find out that Mr. X, that day that they were late, told them that I told him, he said, I called to see where everybody was, and Lori told me that the office hours are 9 to 5, and they should be there. And so he went into them to really just to stir shit. And this is what happens when you have an office full of women, and somebody who has nothing better to do but to make shit up. And so In other words, I was reporting back to him at this point, who's their boss, that they're late. And I wasn't even in the office. They're late, and if the hours are 9 to 5, and they need to be there on time, which is absolutely not what I said. So when I explained it, I said, no, that's not what I said. Then other things came up. Oh, and Mr. X said that while I was out, you said da 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 da, and this one said. I said, whoa, wait a second, guys. Don't you see what's going on? Don't you? And none of us were saying these things. I said, don't you see the whole high school antics that's going on right now? I said, he is paying us to relive his glory days that he never had. Right now, he's got 3 women running to him or confiding in him while he says he's looking out for them. I just want to let you know the girls are upset with you. I don't know why. But they're upset with you, and don't worry, however you handle it, I have your back. And that's what he's saying to all of us. He's stirring shit up, and then he's acting like the knight in shining armor that's going to come in and fix it. So we're all stressed. We're all tense. We've all left jobs, realized that there is no real job here, but we're all getting paid. And now our tensions are high, our backs are up, and we don't know what's going on and who to trust. At this point, we are all very, very stressed out and very frustrated. And now we're not even sticking together to get through this thing. Now we're all sitting at our desks, not talking to anybody, listening on our headphones, trying to keep busy, trying to look busy. Who's not going to lunch? Who's going to lunch? It is a mess, but we're getting paid, so we keep going in. Then I start to have discussions with the realtor because she's waiting for this deposit of $275,000 on the apartment. Plus, she's waiting for the deposits and the contracts on the other apartments that he bought that, she's going to cash in on that he hasn't gotten her those deposits yet. But now, even more important than the fact that she's going to make money off of them is this is her reputation. This is her business. These are her clients. And in New York City, you get to know the building managers that show the apartments that are available. They only select a certain group of realtors that they will allow to come and show the apartments that are for rent in their buildings. This is her reputation, her livelihood. And she can't get out of all these deals and all these agents and business managers, building managers that she's working with. They're like, where's the deposit? What's going on with this guy? We have offers. We have clients that are packing, that are preparing to move. Where is the deposit? So she keeps calling Mr. X. So now at this point, Mr. X tells her that she's going to have to go through me from now on because he's busy. Yeah, he's busy. So he tells me, you're going to have to, just buffer Agent X because I can't talk to her. I can't talk to her. I'm going to lose it on her. Well, she wants to know where the deposits are. What do I tell her? I don't know. Tell her that they're coming. They're with the attorney. They're with the attorney. The contracts. As soon as I get the okay, she'll get the deposits and the whole package. So I'm telling her this. I know at this point that this poor girl is going to get screwed. So I'm telling her that I'm just the messenger. This is what he's telling me. This is the status. And she's like, but that doesn't make sense. I have never had a broker tell me that, or a buyer tell me that I couldn't speak to them directly. It's like, it's almost unethical. I understand, but again, he's not going to answer your call. You've been calling him. And the only thing he can do is text you to call me. So she calls me on the phone, and I say to her, I say, friend, let me ask you a question. How do you know Mr. X? And how well do you know him? And she tells me, I did business with him before. We put deals together before. So because I start to, hint around to her because I don't really know, if she's gonna blow me up and ruin my funding of my house. So I'm trying to kind of hint around. How well do you know him? So I say, well, let me ask you a question, friend. How many deals that you put together with Mr. X have actually gone to closing? How many have gone from start to finish where you walked away? Well, no, but we really did have deals, but but that one fell through and this one, honey, friend, how many deals have you made that went through? The business that has actually been conducted, not just a bunch of people working and jumping for Mr. X and then in the end ending up with nothing. How many deals have you completed? She's like, well, when you put it that way, I guess none. She's like, what do you... Then her light bulb goes off. She's like, what are you saying? She goes, oh my God, are you saying none of this is real? It's impossible. How could this not be real? No, it's impossible. Okay. Look, I'm not saying if it's real or if it's not real. I'm not telling you one way or the other. I'm just asking you some questions. I'm just connecting some dots for you. I said, now, Mr. X told me that he lives in, the apartment building he was going to put me in, but the A line is clogged. Do you know if they're working on that? He doesn't live there. What do you mean he doesn't live there? He told me he lived in the penthouse, and his line wasn't affected. What are you talking about? He doesn't live there. I know because I picked him and his wife up at their apartment. He lives in XYZ in downtown in Soho in a rent-controlled apartment. What? On the second floor. What? Okay, so knowing this, you didn't think it was odd that he was buying $1 million apartments? I mean, I'm already invested and I know that there's something off. How did you not know? And she said, well, but he was buying, he told me he came into money and he's buying $1 million properties. Again, there was a lot going on for her too at the time. And so I guess part of you wants to believe that somebody's not going to be so totally out of their mind. And part of you wants to hold on to the idea that there are things that are supporting what he's saying, even though you know that it just can't be real. So that's where I'm going to leave you right now. At this point, the light bulbs are going off. I am on a mission to get to the bottom of it, and I am not being too nice to Mr. X. In the next chapter, I will go into the confrontation because now I'm getting ready to go home again for my 10 days. And then I'm going to come back when my house is supposed to be funded. Mr. X has me open up an LLC, by the way, which I told you about. But he has me open up a bank account for that LLC so that the funds can be deposited into the bank account of the LLC, telling me that it's better that I do that. So I have done that. And I still have the phone calls coming from North Carolina. I still have my ex-husband living out of boxes, my kids trying to decide what they want to do, and Jackie still acting out. Jackie, my younger daughter, is still not getting along with her dad, and there's still a lot going on there that I just don't know. I don't know why. I'm still getting the phone calls. I'm still playing referee, and I just can't wait to get back there. And get out of this chaos to figure out what that chaos is about. So I'm getting ready to go home, and that's where I'm going to leave you, because when I come back after I go home, it's on. It goes down. So hang in there, and I will try and do a better job of keeping you guys updated. Just trying to give you little bits and pieces. I am traveling right now. Like I said, I'm in North Carolina, trying to tie up some very loose ends. It's a mess of trying to clean up. It's the aftermath of the destruction that somebody can do with their lives for their own selfish reasons. So this is affecting me personally. It's affecting me professionally. It's obviously having an effect on my children. My ex-husband is living out of boxes at this point, so it's affecting him. And it's affecting everybody that comes into contact. It's including this real estate agent, including the people that were packing their house because they thought they were going to sell, all the people who thought they were selling, including the agents, including the personal assistant, right down to, I have to say, probably right down to his wife and his own personal family, his father, his mother, his sisters, all of them, because none of them raised an eyebrow to find out that he had an office and he had employees. None of them. So I believe, what leads me to believe is that they believed what he told them. And what he told them was also fantasy. May not have been the same fantasy, obviously, but it was fantasy. So he was, the only thing I could think of is he was telling them that he was closing deals and hiring agents and making money and spending money and making money. And the only problem is it was just the spending money that was happening. There was no making money going on at all. So I'm going to leave you there. I thank you guys for waiting, and have a good weekend. And I will try and wrap this up as soon as possible. I know that you're all dying to know how it ends, and we'll get to the blow up in the next chapter, because nobody puts baby in the corner. So my patience finally runs out. I snap, and then we'll get to that. We'll get to the lawyers, the lawsuit, just all of it. There's a lot more. Thank you. Have a great night. Have a good weekend. And again, thank you for listening, and thank you for helping me get rid of this and put it behind me. It really has been helping me feel better. Thank you. Have a good weekend.